there's a war going on, and the battlefield is your heart. Every day, you're pulled between who you are and who you're trying to become. One side whispers quick pleasure, easy choices, temporary highs. The other side, it stays quiet, but it's powerful. It's the part of you that wants to stay pure, focused, unshaken. But let's be honest, temptation doesn't knock. It breaks in when you're tired, alone, bored, or stressed. And if you've ever felt like you're losing that battle, you're not alone. But what if I told you that the secret to winning isn't about being perfect? It's about being prepared. Here's a question. Why is it that some people walk through fire and come out stronger, while others crumble at the first spark? It's not luck. It's not willpower. It's a system, something anyone can build. And by the end of this video, you'll not only understand that system, you'll be ready to apply it starting tonight. Most people make the mistake of fighting temptation in the moment, when emotions are high and clarity is gone. But what if you could rewire your brain to respond differently, automatically? What if every time temptation tried to sneak in, your heart was already armored? Stick with this till the end, not just for tips, but for a full mindset shift. Because once you understand how temptation works and how to outsmart it, you'll no longer feel controlled by it. You'll control the game, and you'll walk away with not just discipline, but peace. Let's dive deep, because your future self is watching and they're counting on you to win this battle. It never shows up with a warning sign. It disguises itself sometimes as pleasure, sometimes as comfort, sometimes even as something that feels right in the moment. But underneath all of it, temptation is a test of control. It's not about the object you're drawn to. It's about what you're willing to trade for it. At its core, temptation is a lie dressed as desire. It promises satisfaction but delivers emptiness. It doesn't attack with force. It seduces with familiarity. It knows exactly where to hit your thoughts, your emotions, and your deepest cravings. Let's break this down. It starts in the mind. A single thought, a what if, a fantasy, something that pulls your attention and plants a seed. You don't act on it immediately, but it lingers. The more you think about it, the more real it becomes. The mind begins to shape it into a possibility, something that feels justifiable. It starts as imagination, but if left unchecked, it becomes intention. Then it moves to the emotion. This is where it gets dangerous, because now it's not just an idea, it's a feeling, a craving, an itch that needs to be scratched. You might feel lonely, bored, stressed, or even just curious. Temptation doesn't need logic. It just needs an emotional gap, a moment of vulnerability. And when that moment hits, it floods your system with just enough reason to say, it's okay, just this once. And finally, it targets your desires. These aren't always bad things. In fact, most temptation is twisted around something good. Love, success, comfort, recognition. But the method, that's where it turns dark. Temptation offers a shortcut to something that's meant to be earned, not taken. It doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your peace. It only wants one thing: for you to trade your future for a fleeting moment. That's why understanding this invisible enemy is so important. You can't fight what you can't see, but once you recognize how it works, how it sneaks into your thoughts, rides your emotions, and hijacks your desires, you begin to reclaim your power. Because temptation isn't about the situation, it's about the setup. And now, you know how it begins. It's not the storm that sinks the ship. It's the small crack that no one noticed. That's exactly how temptation gets in. Not through the obvious, but through the unnoticed weak points you keep ignoring. Most people focus on resisting temptation when it arrives. But the real power lies in knowing where you're most likely to fall before it even shows up. So here's the hard truth. If you don't know your weak spots, someone or something will find them for you. Start by asking yourself, when am I most vulnerable? Is it late at night, when you're alone with your phone? Is it during moments of stress, when everything feels overwhelming? Or maybe it's when you feel unseen, craving validation from someone, even if it's the wrong someone. These aren't just random moments. They're patterns, emotional triggers, situations that quietly lower your guard and give temptation the perfect chance to sneak in. It could also be tied to certain environments, a place, a person, a website, even a specific kind of music or mood. It doesn't always scream danger. Sometimes it feels like comfort, but deep down, you know the aftertaste, guilt, regret, frustration. That's the red flag. Recognizing your weak points isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. It's not about judging yourself. It's about protecting yourself. Because once you can name your triggers, you can build strategies to face them. You can create boundaries, set time limits, avoid certain people, install filters, or even shift your routine entirely. Think of it like guarding a treasure. If you had a vault full of gold, you wouldn't leave the back door wide open. Your mind, your heart, your energy, they're that treasure. And the people who win in life aren't the ones with the strongest willpower, they're the ones with the strongest self-awareness. This is where real growth begins. Not in pretending you've got it all together, but in being honest about where you don't. When you shine a light on your weak points, they lose their power. You stop walking blind into traps. You start making moves with clarity, not confusion. And just like that, the cracks begin to seal. When everything around you starts to shake, what's holding you together? In moments of pressure, most people rely on willpower. But willpower is a temporary shield. It cracks under enough weight. What truly keeps you grounded is the foundation you've built long before the storm hits. And that foundation is made of mindset and values. Your mindset is the lens through which you see the world. If that lens is fogged up by insecurity, doubt, or instant gratification, every decision you make will reflect that. But when your mindset is rooted in clarity, when you know who you are and what you stand for, you don't get pushed around by impulses. You respond instead of react. You act with intention, not emotion. But mindset alone isn't enough. You need values, non-negotiable principles that guide your actions when your emotions are all over the place. These values are your internal compass. They're the quiet voice that speaks when no one is watching. They tell you this might feel good now, but it's not worth losing your peace over. Or this road is harder, but it's the one you'll be proud of later. Think about people you admire, those who walk through life with confidence and calm. It's not because their life is easier. It's because they've already decided what matters to them. They don't have to rethink their morals every time they face a challenge. They've already drawn the line. The most powerful mindset is the one trained to choose long-term peace over short-term pleasure. That doesn't happen overnight. It happens through reflection, journaling, reading, surrounding yourself with people who push you toward growth, not destruction. And most importantly, it happens when you stop asking, what can I get away with? And start asking, what kind of person do I want to become? Pressure doesn't create weakness. It reveals it. And pressure also reveals strength, if it's there. So build it now. Not when temptation is knocking, but when everything feels calm. Because the foundation you build today will be the fortress that protects you tomorrow. And when the world tries to shake you, you'll be the one who doesn't move. Short-term pleasure is loud. It shouts right now, while your future whispers, wait. It's worth it. The problem is, most people listen to the noise and forget the voice that matters most. The one guiding them towards something bigger than the moment. When you're deeply connected to a higher purpose, whether it's rooted in your faith, your dreams, or a mission greater than yourself, you stop chasing cheap satisfaction. You start playing the long game. And in a world addicted to instant results, that mindset is rare and powerful. Think of every temptation as a distraction, trying to pull your eyes off the road. Without a clear destination, even the smallest turn can feel like the right one. But if your purpose is crystal clear, you'll recognize every shortcut for what it is, a trap that delays your progress. Faith and vision give you clarity. Faith tells you that your life isn't random, that your pain, your struggles, your self-control, all serve something meaningful. Vision gives you direction. It's the detailed picture of who you want to be and what impact you want to leave behind. When you're connected to something higher, your decisions carry weight. You're no longer just living for comfort. You're living for legacy. That kind of mindset doesn't just help you avoid temptation. It makes it irrelevant. Because why trade a future you believe in for a moment you'll regret? To stay connected, revisit your purpose often. Write it down, speak it out loud, meditate or pray on it daily. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to level up, not settle down. And when you're tempted, don't ask, do I want this right now? Ask, does this move me closer to who I'm meant to be? Everyone's driven by something. For some it's validation. For others it's survival. But for the few who choose to live with purpose, there's a strength that doesn't break under pressure. it grows through it. So when the moment comes and the easy choice is in front of you, remember what you're building. You're not here for the quick win. You're here for something greater. And that purpose is what will carry you through the storm every single time. If you keep walking into the fire, don't be surprised when you get burned. The truth is, no matter how strong your mindset is, your environment will always shape your behavior. You can have the best intentions, the clearest values, and the strongest willpower. But if you surround yourself with the wrong people, toxic spaces, or triggering content, you're making the fight 10 times harder than it needs to be. Most people don't fall because they're weak. They fall because they stay too close to the edge thinking they can handle it. But growth doesn't come from testing your limits. It comes from respecting them. If a certain place or even group of friends constantly pulls you away from the person you're trying to become, it's not a coincidence. It's a trap. And you need to start choosing your peace over your pride. Take a hard look at your daily surroundings. Who do you spend the most time with? What kind of conversations are you having? What shows, videos, or music are you consuming? All of this becomes your mental diet. And what you feed your mind determines how you feel, how you think, and how you act. Temptation thrives in silence and secrecy. So if your environment encourages isolation, distraction, or emotional numbness, you're already at a disadvantage. But the moment you start making changes, muting toxic accounts, leaving draining group chats, creating boundaries with certain people, you take your power back. It's not about living in a bubble. It's about building a space that aligns with your goals, your energy, and your vision. The right environment doesn't just help you avoid temptation. It inspires you to rise above it. It reminds you every single day who you'll become. And remember, this doesn't always require dramatic moves. Sometimes it's just shifting your habits, listening to a podcast instead of scrolling, going for a walk instead of texting someone who drains you, keeping your phone outside your room at night. Small changes create massive shift. You don't get stronger by constantly resisting temptation. You get stronger by creating a life where temptation has nowhere to live. Change your environment, and you'll change your future. If this video is hitting you deep, if you're tired of the cycle, falling, feeling guilty, then promising to do better, only to fall again, then it's time to break free for real. You don't need more motivation. You need a proven strategy that works spiritually and practically. That's exactly why I created this powerful ebook, 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust. This isn't just theory. These are battle-tested, Bible-backed strategies to help you win the war that's being fought in your mind and heart every single day. Inside, you'll discover how to retrain your thoughts, rebuild your mindset, and most importantly, restore your purity without shame. If you're serious about getting control over lust, not just managing it but destroying it from the root, then this ebook is for you. You'll learn how to fight temptation with divine power, not just willpower. And the best part, every principle is simple, clear, and something you can apply immediately, starting today. I'm telling you, this one decision could shift the entire direction of your spiritual life. Don't wait until things get worse. Don't keep losing to the same battle over and over again. The link to grab your copy is in the video description and pinned comment below. Take that first bold step, invest in your healing. Stand up for your future, because the freedom you've been praying for starts with the truth you choose to act on right now. Get the ebook, read it, live it, and start walking in the strength God always meant for you to have. Discipline isn't built in the moment of temptation. It's built in the quiet moments when no one is watching. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. And the only way to build strength over your impulses is through consistent training. Not once, not sometimes, but daily. Discipline isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily lifestyle, a mindset that sharpens itself through repetition. But here's the truth. Discipline doesn't begin with what you avoid. It begins with what you choose to do with intention. Start by choosing stillness. In a noisy world filled with distractions, daily meditation, even if it's just 5 minutes, teaches your mind to pause, breathe, and think clearly. That space between emotion and action, that's where self-control is born. Then comes journaling. Putting thoughts to paper isn't just therapy, it's strategy. It helps you identify patterns, reflect on triggers, and track progress. Some days you'll write about victory, other days about struggle. But every entry is a mirror that reveals where you're growing and where you still need work. Prayer adds power. It reconnects you to something higher than yourself. It's not just asking for strength, It's receiving clarity, peace, and the reminder that you're not fighting alone. When done daily, prayer becomes a weapon that silences chaos and strengthens resolve. And then there's fasting, the art of saying no to physical cravings so you can master spiritual strength. You don't fast to punish yourself. You fast to prove to your own mind that you are not a slave to desire. Whether it's skipping a meal, social media, or entertainment, fasting builds a rare kind of control power over the flesh. When you show up for yourself daily, even in small ways, you begin to rewire your brain. Every repetition makes resistance easier. Every intentional act of discipline builds a layer of armor around your heart. You'll no longer be reacting to life. You'll be leading it. So start now. Choose one habit. Be consistent. And remember, discipline doesn't make life dull. It makes life clear. And in that clarity, you'll find the freedom you've been chasing all along. Idleness feels innocent until it becomes dangerous. It usually starts small, a few hours with nothing to do, a lazy scroll, a silent room. But that's when the mind starts wandering. And the longer it drifts, the more likely it is to drift somewhere dark. Because when you're not focused on building something meaningful, you're vulnerable to anything that promises quick pleasure. The solution? Stay intentionally busy, but not just with noise or random tasks. Fill your time with things that feed your growth, creativity, and purpose. Meaningful work doesn't have to be a job. It could be a passion project, volunteering, starting a small business, or even organizing your space. When your hands are moving with purpose, your mind is anchored. You don't have time to entertain destructive thoughts when you're actively creating progress. Then there are hobbies. These are more powerful than they seem. Painting, music, reading, working out, learning a skill. These aren't just ways to pass time. They're ways to strengthen identity. Every time you choose a hobby over a harmful habit, you remind yourself who you're becoming. You reinforce your values without even realizing it. And don't forget your goals, the bigger picture. When you have clear, exciting goals pulling you forward, you don't feel as tempted by distractions. Every moment becomes an opportunity to get one step closer to something meaningful. And progress, it's addictive, in the best way. One of the most overlooked sources of temptation is boredom. But boredom is a choice. You can always choose movement, growth, momentum. If you want to protect your mind, flood your schedule with actions that serve your vision. Plan your day. Keep a to-do list. Try new experiences. Join communities that align with your values. Make progress non-negotiable. Because the devil doesn't indeed destroy you outright. He just needs you distracted long enough to miss your calling. Don't let that happen. Build a life so full of purpose. There's no room for anything that doesn't belong. When you stay busy building, you don't break. You rise, and you begin to live every day with clarity, energy, and intention. Lions don't hunt alone for a reason. They survive and thrive in a pack. And yet when it comes to personal battles like lust, shame, or temptation, most people isolate themselves. They convince themselves, I'll figure it out on my own. But isolation doesn't lead to strength. It leads to secrecy. And secrets grow in the dark. You don't need a crowd. You need one real person. Someone who knows your struggles and still believes in your potential. Someone who doesn't just listen, but checks in, calls you out, lifts you up when you're slipping. That's what accountability looks like. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. When you're tempted, your emotions are louder than your logic, but an accountability partner acts as your external voice of reason. They remind you of your standards when your mind starts to forget. They become your mirror, your safety net, your reminder that you're not walking this road alone. Choose someone you trust, someone with integrity, someone who understands the journey you're on and won't judge your setback. Be honest with them. Tell them your triggers, your weak spots, your goals. Set up regular check-ins, even if it's just a 5-minute call or a quick text. That small connection creates massive strength. And don't just focus on receiving support. Give it to. Be the kind of friend who challenges others to grow. Iron sharpens iron. When you're helping someone else fight their battle, it makes you stronger in your own. Temptation thrives in silence, but the moment you speak it out, you weaken its grip. The shame loses its power. You stop feeling like you're carrying the weight alone. And sometimes just knowing someone's gonna ask, how are you really doing, is enough to keep you grounded when your mind starts to drift. There's no trophy for doing life alone. The strongest people are the ones who lean on others, not to escape responsibility but to rise together. So reach out. Build a system that supports your standards, not your struggle. because you were never meant to fight in the dark. You were meant to walk in the light, with others by your side. Falling isn't failure, staying down is. No matter how disciplined or driven you are, there will be moments when you slip. You'll make a choice you regret. You'll give in to a temptation you thought you had conquered. And in that moment, shame will rush in, whispering, "You're not strong enough. You'll never change." But here's the truth. Guilt doesn't purify you, it paralyzes you. Growth doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being aware. Every setback is a signal. Every stumble is a lesson. But only if you're willing to face it without letting shame bury you. Instead of asking, "Why did I mess up again?" ask, "What led me here?" Was it a certain emotion, the time of day, a trigger you ignored? That level of honesty isn't about self-punishment. It's about self-mastery. The faster you analyze, the faster you can adapt. Remember, the greatest warriors have battle scars. The key difference, they use their scars as reminders of what they've overcome, not proof of their failure. One mistake doesn't erase the progress you've made, and it definitely doesn't define who you are. The real danger isn't in falling, it's in letting guilt convince you to quit. That's how most people stay stuck. They believe the lie that they have to start all over. But you don't need to reset your life every time you fall. You just need to continue with more clarity, more strategy, and more grace for yourself. Beating yourself up won't bring change. Reflecting, learning, and adjusting will. Every time you get up after a fall, you're building resilience. And eventually those same areas that used to trip you will become the places you walk through with strength. So when you slip, don't drown in self-hate. Acknowledge it, extract the lesson, and keep moving forward. Because the enemy doesn't fear your failure, he fears your comeback. And every time you rise, you prove that progress isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. Every moment of temptation comes with a price tag. You just don't see it right away. In the heat of the moment, your brain is wired to think short term. It only sees the pleasure, the comfort, the escape. It doesn't show you the aftermath, the guilt that lingers, the peace that disappears, the delay in your growth, or the damage to your relationship. But if you could fast forward 5 minutes, 5 hours, or 5 days after giving in, you'd see a very different picture. That's why visualization is so powerful. Before you act, pause, and imagine not just the action but the impact. Ask yourself, what will I feel afterward? Will I be proud of this? Will this bring me closer to who I want to be? Or pull me further away? When you start mentally playing out the consequences, the temptation begins to lose its grip, because now you're thinking with wisdom, not impulse. Imagine looking into the eyes of someone you love, knowing you compromised your integrity. Imagine standing in front of the goals you set, your dream body, business, spiritual growth, and realizing you've delayed them again for a moment that didn't even last. These images are powerful, not to shame you, but to wake you up. Your future is being built by today's decisions. One weak moment might not ruin everything, but repeated ones can slowly erode the foundation you've worked so hard to build. Every compromise chips away at your momentum, confidence, and identity. But the reverse is also true. Every time you say no, you strengthen your future. You protect your peace. You move one step closer to the person you're meant to become. So next time temptation knocks, don't just think about the now, think about the later. Visualize your life if you stay on the path of growth, how proud, peaceful, and powerful you'll feel. Let that image be stronger than the pull of the moment. Your future self is watching. Make choices today that they'll thank you for tomorrow. You were never meant to live in chains. Every struggle you faced, every battle with temptation, every silent war in your mind, it wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to build you. You're not weak for fighting. You're stronger than you think for still standing. But if you truly want freedom, not just temporary control, but lasting purity, you need more than just inspiration. You need transformation. And that starts when you take action. Everything we've covered in this video: discipline, purpose, self-awareness, faith, accountability. It's not just theory. It's the blueprint to becoming someone who doesn't just resist temptation, but rises above it. Because the real victory isn't just in saying no once. It's in becoming the kind of person who doesn't even get pulled in anymore. But I know how hard that process can feel when you're doing it alone. That's why I created something deeper, something practical and rooted in spiritual truth. It's my powerful guide. 7 biblical secrets to destroy lust before it destroys you. This isn't fluff. It's raw, real, and packed with the exact steps that have helped countless others break free from the cycle of guilt and shame. If you're serious about changing your life, about restoring your mind, protecting your peace, and walking in purpose. This ebook is your next step. And the best part, you don't have to search for it. The link is right there in the video description and pinned comment. Go now. Don't wait until you fall again. Don't keep telling yourself you'll figure it out later. This is your moment. You've made it this far for a reason. Now finish strong. Grab the ebook, dive in and start applying the secrets that have the power to change your story forever. Because if you don't destroy lust, it will try to destroy you. But not this time. This time you win.